So, I wanted to talk to you today about a classic horror movie that is near and dear to my heart. Going way back to the 50s, a movie which, to me, seems even older than that, almost in a style evocative of the years prior, and yet foretelling the great things to come. Night of the Demon, adapted from the short story Casting the Runes, I think? To Cast the Runes, maybe? It is just this fantastic, very mysterious narrative, right? A black and white movie following Dr. John Holden, uh, who is investigating the death of a friend and colleague who sort of the investigation gets him wrapped up in a very wild occult conspiracy led by the enigmatic Dr. Julian Carswell, who is a satanic magician and a powerful sorcerer. So powerful that he's managed to command a demon into his service, and is using it for predictably nefarious ends. And that's just a good premise right there. It's very classic premise. That story has been told 100 times, even when this movie came out. And I'm sure you can see the very classic occult, supernatural parallels here of things that happened both before and after in terms of great fiction, and some not so great fiction. But I digress. Um, Night of the Demon is it's such a fascinating story, right? With Holden managing to be your typical, it's that somewhat kind of grumpy, skeptical protagonist, as very typical of the time, and yet he does manage to hold his own, as it were, in the narrative, which is no easy feat, considering that the movie, as I see it, is very much like the show is stolen by the villain, right? Carswell, who the actor does just a great, amazing job with the role. I think his name was it Neil McGuinness. I think his name was, and he was just he does a very good job with this very powerful, dangerous, accomplished man, a savant and an intellectual, but this guy who he very much wants to be left alone, and that's a very interesting take for a magician, right? His only flaw is that when you bother him, he sicks a demon after you. He does not seem to be quite the directly dangerous antagonist you might expect from a story like this. His goals are a bit more subversive and subtle. He's not planning world domination necessarily. I don't think he is anyway. As far as I can remember, he simply wishes to continue on in the lifestyle in which he has grown accustomed, right? And when anyone, uh, comes along and threatens to expose his satanic cult and his endeavors to better his own station, he retaliates, and things sort of pinwheel out from there. Uh, Carswell is just a great villain for that reason, and I do like how all of these occult horror movies, right? Movies like this, they every villain, almost every villain, in some way is a caricature, if you will, of your friend and mine, English occultist Aleister Crowley. Because, for instance, Carswell, he covers the much less outright, like, offensive, but much more subtly insidious side of Aleister Crowley, right? He more so covers that, like, how for a very long time Crowley was entrenched in the upper class, how for a good stretch of time, and possibly even at the time of his death, depending on who you ask, Crowley was enjoying this incredible power and prestige, this wealth and privilege. He had all these contacts and friends in high places. He had all these different summer homes and winter homes and whatever else. And he went rock climbing, and had this element of like highbrow lowercase c celebrity about him. And Carswell sort of incorporates that in his own character. He's this successful doctor. He looks after the community. He holds Halloween parties, and he's so magnanimous, and he's evil. And that's why he makes for such an incredibly complicated, compelling, if not entirely sympathetic villain. And foiled in the end in a very creative, clever way, turning his own power against him, and leaving no small amount of wrinkles in his wake. Holden, meanwhile, Holden really proves himself a capable occult detective, a good protagonist for a story like this, and he does overcome the obstacles thrown his way rather adeptly. He has to improvise and adapt to an increasingly bizarre, outlandish situation. And seriously, it's something to see. And considering the time in which this movie was made, I'd say it's pretty damn good. My only major complaint is that the demon itself, the demon for which the night is so named, it's a butt ugly dog suit. And it doesn't even need to be in the movie, frankly. And I mean, honestly, they could have left it and the ominous sort of cloud of mist that you see, um, and I'd have been all over. I think that would have been much more terrifying because you don't know exactly what it looks like, what it even is. But the dog suit doesn't work in my personal opinion. It looks like it's fine. It's fine considering everything, budget and the time in which it was made and all that. But it still looks like what it is. A big ratty Muppet head floating through the air with like claws. But hey, aside from that, and it's not in many scenes really. Aside from that, I think the story holds up. I mean, watching it now today, uh, you probably won't be surprised by anything you find in the movie. But that's not the movie's fault. I'd say it did a lot of creative, original things, and it's partly responsible for the popularity of such tropes and gimmicks to begin with. So you have that, and and much like The Devil Rides Out, I have no trouble admitting that without Night of the Demon, uh, my own supernatural thriller novel, Darkest in the Light, would not exist. And wouldn't that be a terrible world to live in? I mean, it's basically one of the greatest things ever written by a human hand, in my not so humble opinion. But aside from that, yeah, Night of the Demon is good. So yeah, bye.